Hey guys, welcome to Clockwork Noodles for the first breakdown done in my shorthand style. This breakdown is generally just going to be a very quick pass over episode 1 of Chainsaw Man. Any key points that I found of interest. Mainly I'm going to be focusing on colour palette, something that I think Mappa does very, very well. It's a different episode from what I normally do, so you guys will have to let me know if this is a good style or you want to see more like this. If it does go down well, it does mean I can break down more animes airing in the season just by focusing in on a few key points of one episode. I don't want these to be very long because editing takes ages and I don't have too much time right now because I'm very, very busy, but it allows me to talk to you guys about different stuff. If you are interested or think this is great or have found me for the first time, hello, I'm Clockwork Noodles. I break down a handful of seasonal anime each season, generally telling you what I think, anything that I find of interest. So make sure you guys are subscribed. We have the midway review coming up in about 5 weeks time. I'm going to crown my top 3 OPs, EDs of the season, current standing of anime, and then you also get my end of season review every season where I tell you what I thought and what's coming your way in the next season. So without further ado, let's get going because episode 1, well, it's hype. Everybody has heard of the hype for Chainsaw Man. I roughly knew some of the bits and pieces that were going to be appearing in the first episode. I don't know too much about the plot. I haven't read the manga. This is Mappa and we know what to roughly expect with Mappa because their animation is absolutely gorgeous. The start for Chainsaw Man, something I really, really like was the use of keeping the main character out of focus. So we start with a bit of first person perspective. We are looking around. It's almost like we are viewing the world from the character's perspective. Denji doesn't come into clarity until a good few minutes in. I don't actually think he appears to about a minute and a half where we are looking at the surroundings. His world, it's dingy, it's dark. The OP is absolutely gorgeous though. Really like it. There's a lot of shifting focus. We see all of our characters floating around. There's a great flow. It all just flips around. Very, very interesting. It's lively as well. It's very, very lively. There's characters I don't recognize yet, so hopefully we're going to get to meet him at some point, but I thought it was really nice. I thought a lot of it as well with the cheerful nature but also the dark nature. Having this juxtapositioning going on is perfect for the anime because I do think it's going to be one of those animes that goes from dark gory to happy then gory again. It's going to be one of those animes that does flip around quite nicely. What I did like for the color palette, mainly at the start, very drab. We're using very washed out colors. They are dull. There's a lot of blue coming in, which is again to show a bit more of a coldness for the poor lifestyle that our main character is living in. It's dingy. The shack that Denji is really living in is just a garage. There's a lot of raw materials floating around. It doesn't really strike you as a house. It strikes you as this is a place that I can keep a roof over my head. Trying to show you this is the main character. Our main character is dirt poor. Like Denji's upbeat personality, he is able to just see the positives despite the crushing reality of what he's living in. He's living with a huge debt over his head. He doesn't make any money. He does basically eats anything for just the chance of getting 100 yen. You can see how desperate he really is. I think as well, it makes him a very interesting character to watch because of his unique perspective on everything. I think the relationship between him and Pushita, I already have friends telling me they are looking for plushies of Pushita. Pushita is going to be the best dog this season. I don't think Pushita is a dog, but I get what you mean because what you'll notice with colour palette, Pushita is bright, very bright. That orange really sticks out when you've got a drab colour palette like you have with the surroundings. And the point is, Pushita is supposed to be this very colourful light in Denji's life, but perhaps the only colourful light in his life. Heartfelt backstory to both of them where they're both on death row. Pretty much Denji knows that if he can't make that money, he's going to die in a few hours anyway. Pushita's been wounded, but don't exactly know how. Seeing that bright colour around him, it's something that I think the anime and Mappa does well, is Mappa is very aware of how colours really are important when it comes to storytelling. This alongside Jujutsu Kaisen, which is another favourite of mine by Mappa, it's all about colour and how we use colour, which I think is really good. The backstory for Denji is done very, very well. The rain, we've got the lighting on Denji's dad's grave. Love the lighting. Another thing by Mappa that they do very well is lighting. It's very directional. It's just dark, you know. It's also quite a lonely sequence. The boy loses his father but has absolutely no time to grieve because he's told you're not taking on the debt. You own so much money that you're probably going to die by the end of the day because you won't be able to pay it. And we see with him immediately is he's ready to die. Doesn't have a bright outlook initially. Bright outlook comes on a bit later on, perhaps when he's been hanging out with Pushita a little bit more. Initially, he just is very willing to die and is happy to sacrifice himself to help another character, offering his blood to help the devil Pushita if it allows Pushita to live on. And I think it's beautiful. I love the colours. I love the music as well. Is quite low key at this point. It's really, really nice. But we're using a blue palette. The blue palette, again, bringing in that cold metal, almost unfeeling nature of the world that he's in. He's on the brink of death as well. So we see him coughing up blood as well. Either way, it's gonna end up in death. He's had to resort to selling off many of his organs to make some kind of money. What I did find fascinating was Denji's voice actor. This is actually his first role. He's not been in anything more. And massive congratulations to the voice actor. I think he does fantastic. I initially thought it was the guy who did Itadoriya from Jujutsu Kaisen. Makes sense, it's the same studio. He's landed a fantastic first role. I think this is going to be the role that makes him. It basically will elevate him into the voice acting world, because this anime is going to be huge. There's no beating around the bush. It's one of those anticipated animes. And we've got things like Bleach airing this season. You know, long time classic. People are still hyping up Chainsaw Man. We do get straight into the brutalism, which I have heard about this anime, but it's also a nice look into the devil system. It allows you to work out the enemies of the world, how things are working, the power system. Episode 1, we've already got zombies appearing, so I think we're off to a great start. I think there was a tomato devil as well at the start. It's almost like there's a devil of many different aspects of life, which reminds me a bit of Terry Pratchett, where you've got gods and you've got gods of odd socks, but this time we've got devils of tomatoes or devils of zombies. It does give me a little link to Terry Pratchett, which is a fantastic thing to make me think about, because again, that guy was a legend, so all of his work absolutely gorgeous. If Chainsaw Man is making me think of this world, go for it. I absolutely love it. The one thing that Chainsaw Man doesn't hang about with is its brutality, and it's going to be visceral, and I know that they're not censoring any of it. To be honest, of a story like this, I don't think censoring would have been the right thing anyway. I think you wouldn't have done the story justice. Seeing him reborn then by a desire to have that one simple wish. Denji isn't asking for much. He's not a character who wants money or fame. He just wants to be able to have bread and jam. He wants to have the most basic thing, or he wants to score with a girl. The most basic of things that he wants, and then he'll be happy to pass away. When he is passing away is leaving Pushita all on their own. It tells you a lot more about the character than it does anything else. He's not thinking about himself. He's just thinking about leaving somebody on their own. He's not thinking about him, even right at his last moment. Pushita, the first bright, colourful object, as I mentioned, absolutely fantastic to see those memories being absolutely bright. The bright moments, Denji's kindness, bringing that warmth into Pushita's world. It's really nice just seeing that aspect of Denji. I might die, but my only regret is really just going to be leaving you around. He's always thinking about others, so you're getting quite a nice look into his character without really being too on the nose, which I think Mappa does very well. It doesn't just go, here's my character, blah, 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 blah. It goes, this is how we see it. We're going to show you his character instead of telling you about his character. You can make up your own thoughts about the character as a whole. Backstory also helps explain the devil powers. We do get to see Pushita exchanging a heart just to see your life. I had so much fun listening to your dreams. I want to see them come about and be a reality. Give us some explanation and create the plot and the story mode. The palette, when we come back looking at all of the houses of the world, it's drab. They're all pretty much grey, blue and brown. So you're seeing the same three colours being used, because right now it's not a very bright world. It's also raining a lot, dark and dingy. But we get a beautiful bright palette used for Denji's rebirth when he is rebuilt, seeing Pushita's sacrifice. Kindness that Denji showed Pushita literally saves his life. The thing I also liked about the first episode was the music. It slowly builds as he jumps out, reborn, out of the dumpster. The music is really low key, it's beautiful, it's starting to build up, and you know something's coming because the music's starting to tell you it's coming. The big moment we're all waiting for, that big Chainsaw Man reveal, absolutely fantastic, because as soon as that happens, the metal starts to drop and you know you're in for one hell of a ride. Something I really do like with the design itself is the eyes. I like the way that the eyes just light up gradually. So if anyone's cosplaying it, and don't worry, us cosplayers, we're on it. There's a lot of cosplayers already making Chainsaw Man. They are doing it with the eyes that just, you can time it so that the eyes come on in sequence as opposed to just coming on at once. The smoke coming out of the head. Everything about that, absolutely gorgeous. It does remind me of No Gun, No Life, or I think it was called that, where you had the guys who had guns on their heads. It would not surprise me if it's the same author. As I said, haven't read the manga, haven't done too much research on it because I like to go into it without really knowing anything. Probably is the same guys, or Mappa might have even made that anime, so it makes sense. You can see where they've got it from. I like the blending of CGI and animation on the looks. As soon as Denji transforms back into himself and he has the hug moment, it's soft. The music returns to being very soft. The face just melts away and reveals him. I like that transformation. It's not just a he's back. It's I'm going to melt away and reveal I'm still a human deep down and all I want is just a hug. The thing that ends up making him choose not to die is I could have bread and jam. It's something that I actually want. This is my wish. I don't want anything big. I just want something little. It's a really nice soft ending for a wild ride of episode 1. I think episode 1 has done a fantastic job on setting up the world that we're dealing in. It's dark, it's drab, it's visceral. There's only like flashes of colour here and there. Unlike Jujutsu Kaisen, which uses a bit more of a watercolor palette, this one is very dark. I think even if you want to look connections between the two shows, the color palettes are very, very different, and I think they need to be different for the shows that we're discussing. We know that every single episode is going to have a unique ED. This week we have a very heavy ED, a nice rocky one, which I think really suits the episode. Really like it. I like the fact that it's even got Chainsaw Man in the title, so that works out. So overall, I really enjoyed the first episode of Chainsaw Man. You won't be getting a weekly breakdown on this. I would basically, if I have a video which I think I can link and talk about an aspect of Chainsaw Man, I'm going to come and talk to you about it. Episode 1, I think I needed to give you some thoughts on the opening. I think openings are very, very important. I will definitely give you a video for my close as well. Really did like it. I can't wait to see where the story goes. I think it's going to be definitely up there for most people's top 3s this season. I have a feeling I already know where my top 3s are going, but anything can happen when it comes to these things. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to your first mini bite. Basically picked a aspect of the episode and I've decided to break it down as we go through it. I didn't really need to talk to you about all the bits and pieces going on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.